good times roll, brothers and sisters. Maybe there's one out there. All right, dudes. Welcoming you to another episode of The Office Hours. And today we're going to be talking about my favorite musical city. That's right. I prefer it to Nashville. I prefer it to New York. Jazz and country, all fine and well. I love jazz. New York's kind of known for the bebop thing, absolutely. But we can't possibly ignore our brothers and sisters from the South, down in the Crescent City of New Orleans. And that's that is a huge part of what music is in this country, right? New Orleans is, obviously a famous city for all kinds of good and all kinds of bad stuff. But one of the things it can definitely take credit for, in addition to the po' boy, is the melting pot of musical cultures that occurred due to some of the, how shall we say, less savory practices of our country's history, primarily being the slave trade. However, those laborers who were brought against their will over here certainly did bring one thing that was amazing, and it is their musical tradition. So all that stuff aside, we've got to talk about it. We've got its beautiful kind of, I don't know, it's like an Afro-Caribbean kind of rhythmic element happening here, right? And at the same time, we're constantly mixing different rhythms. It's never just all going junk, 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 junk. That might be happening on top of so this morning, being Fat Tuesday, I woke up and couldn't help but run a bunch of Professor Longhair tracks this morning while I was having my coffee. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go down there and hip everybody to this. And if you're not aware of the great music that came out, I mean, even something as pedestrian as Fats Domino, he is incredible. Go listen to some of this old music, especially some of the young guys. It's shocking how many of my younger students, I've got a handful of really inspired young players that are working with me, and I love those guys, but they have no cultural awareness of a lot of those older tradition things. They're kind of stuck in the future as opposed to understanding what they actually are playing and where it's all coming from. So this is like a little bit of what I'm hearing. A lot of this kind of so you've got stride piano, you've got all kinds of stuff. So here we are, all right? So you've got a couple of licks that I'm always using. All right, and it's that backwards little rake, or okay, so you've got to learn how to do some smooth, or right? All right, so you're going to see a bunch of those. All right, what am I doing? I'm grabbing the 5. All this jam was out of A. All right, I'm grabbing the 5 and the flat 3, and I'm going down. And effectively doing the one thing that one of the things that guitars can do that other instruments just can't, is bend. All right, and also, like, horns can't play 2 notes, so we've got a double whammy here. We've got polyphony on our side. All right, but what the keyboard has going is that ability to go like really quickly down 5 notes with the right hand. Professor Longhair was a genius with this, and this is kind of like the go-to move for the professor, okay? He's just great at this, okay? So if you want to get that, okay, so that's down, and then you're going to come through, right? That's one of those moves that I'm doing. So I don't even know if I'm hitting the high E even. Okay, and that's coming down through, basically, lo and behold, major pentatonic flat 3. I always talk about this sound as being like so essential to American rock and roll. Now we can always toughen it up by adding the flat 7 to it and adding a little bit bluesier of a sound. I tend to like to do that at the end of the bar. So if we go, super fun sound. Now, granted, I've stacked the deck in my favor in that I'm playing a really great sounding humbucking guitar with neck pickup. All right, I have the tone pretty wide open, actually. I'm shocked. I thought it would probably be lowered, but okay, and I'm going okay across there. This one I was hammering on into the third, right? Into the D chord. I also did it here, right? This kind of. I have a little lesson on this idea. It's a lick I use called the Red House roll. All right, and it comes from Red House, the song that Hendrix, made famous. Okay, so basically we're hammering on and then raking back. All right, you'll often see me do this where I pinky up and then slide. All right, and we can hammer on. Like that, okay? So you, so there's that, that famous melody. If you go to New Orleans, you gotta see the Mardi Gras. If you go, that's over the 4 chord. If you go to New Orleans, you gotta see the Mardi Gras. So all off the 5. That's the root of the 1. If you go to New Orleans. So watch this. We can play around with that flat 7, bending up to it. Sorry. That's over the D chord's flat 7. But we'll make it our minor third over the 1. 1, 2, 3. All right, from 2 to flat 3. You gotta see the Mardi Gras. Oh, that was bad. Okay, so we're thinking like those combined piano licks where we're doing those rolls. Bam, boom, bam, boom, boom, boom. Right? So thinking like other instruments can really open up your vocabulary because those are moves that we just don't think about as guitar players too much. Now the melody, right? Let's think about that. You can grab that 2, right? Bend it into the flat 3, and that's this effect. Okay, well, this is something that a lot of people don't understand, is that there's like a world, there's a whole universe that happens between the 2nd and the major 3rd, all right? Every little, it's like an impossibly minute amount of change makes all the difference in the world, okay, across those 2 notes. Right, or if I do it flat 3, right? And then if I go, right? great way of practicing our phrasing. You think these people don't know what they're doing down there? Holy shit. New Orleans is just an amazing, amazing place. So if anybody has never spent any time listening to, obviously you've got the Meters, the Neville Brothers, all those guys that are kind of currently in your probably in your world, all right? But just listening to old Alan Toussaint records, the songwriting and the grooves, man, you start to hear how these guys are mashing up all this cool old stuff, even old Louis Armstrong records, all right? Don't forget, Louis Armstrong is like a humongous titan of music in this country and culture. If we don't embrace Louis, man, we're fucked, all right? Alan is a master, I agree. So Hermetic Light Show, which is a very interesting handle, has said, you know, hey, that Alan just, but I believe it's Al-N with an E-N. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I can never remember. I know it's spelled funny, so, or different than I would have anticipated. All right, that's pretty much the end of the lecture. Go check out some music that's indigenous to that New Orleans vibe before Shawty took over and all the kind of all that big. I mean, I like the brass stuff, but what I'm talking about more is that keyboard sound of that rollicking kind of piano, and Dixieland obviously is an amazing conversational side piece to the jazz traditions that we talk about all the time. It's kind of like the Grateful Dead. A lot of people kind of have compared the Grateful Dead to a Dixieland quintet over the years. So conversational music and everything like that. It's one person picking up the idea and running with it and then completing each other's sentences, that kind of thing. All right. Pardon the mess down here, folks. You can see there's this plastic sheeting up behind me. The ceiling came down yesterday. So now at least there's a neat 9x9 square that needs to be re-sheetrocked and re-soundproofed here in the stooge. Note to self, rethink radiant heating. Not the greatest idea when you think about what if category. What if it fails? All right. So that's what's happening here. Now, all of our typical blues moves still exist here, but what we want to do is really get out of the way of the music. I've done what I can to kind of give you that mambo thing, that boom, 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 boom kind of thing happening. If you can get out of that thing's way, it will definitely take over and make the world kind of do the gopher at the end of Caddyshack, you know? Not even particularly good at this shit, but it's still so much fun. I gotta tell you, what a great way to practice your phrasing. Is there a particular show I'm referencing for this office hours? No, I'm not even talking about Grateful Dead music, baby. I'm talking about Professor Longhair and the Fais Dodo of New Orleans, the sound of the Crescent City, all right? So this wonderful smash up between major and minor pentatonic sounds and African and Cuban rhythms and, well, whatever, African and Caribbean rhythms. I wouldn't limit it just to that one island, but I must say that the Cubans do seem to have quite a stranglehold on those rhythmic styles. Just amazing music, all right, that's happening down there this time of year. So if you happen to be thinking about going to Jazz Fest and enjoying Mardi Gras and all that stuff, While you're down there, please be respectful and please be be safe. It is not just a fucking Disneyland ride. It's not a playground there down there. There's a lot of shenanigans going on sometimes. I have some friends who have decided to make their home there, and it is no joke. All right. So what do we got here? Good morning, Jack. Quick question: when playing Eric Johnson style hexatonic directional picking, what is the main thing to understand about that? No, that's fine for us to pivot. Okay, so guitar, everyone is asking about that. Let's give me a second, guitar, everyone. We'll change sounds for a second here. Okay, so let's go off of there into browse mode, and we will go. Whoops, sorry. Let's go and find something with a little bit more gain to it. Let's see about that. No, that's wrong. That's not the right thing. Here we go. What the hell do I have? God damn. Here we go. It's like I have 1,000 fucking patches. If I scroll too fast, it cramps up the whole system. Okay, so I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't have all day to do this. Let's see what the hell's going on. All right, look, this is probably not going to work so great. Yeah, it crapped out. That's what I hate. The Kemper is like a little baby. See, it does that too. I happen to love the sound, but I gotta say, it's kind of a weak processor inside of it. So if you get to a thing and you're trying to scroll through like a bunch of patches, you go bzz, 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 like, skipping through 30 things. It makes it shit the bed pretty fast. So bear with me while I find a... Okay, let's go here. Let's assume that this works here. Let's get some echo on there. All right. So if we're looking at trying to create some directional picking stuff, the most important thing is to remember that we're not rotating the hand out of one position or the other position, okay? And if you're unaware of what I'm talking about, the Eric Johnson, Joe Bonamassa pick direction thing is pretty definitive. We're going to have a predominantly upward, like we're going to be pointing the tip of the pick up at us. And oddly enough, that gets referred to as downward pick slanting. And what does this do? This gives us an outward trajectory on our upstroke, which enables us to switch strings quickly and effectively across 2-note per string lines like pentatonics, okay? So if we're going... Makes it very easy to do that. All right, but what it also does is it provides us with this temptation to brush through rather than go up and over, around, and rotate, okay? And utilizing either hammer-ons or pull-offs in one or the other position, you could, let's say, instead of ascending like this, okay, those are alternate picked 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could do it like this. Okay, and if you look at what's happening here, I'm going... Right, I'm brushing through to the next string. So the thing to remember is that on the downstroke, we don't go down and out like this. There's none of that. We're going... So let's say we're coming up a G minor, right? And we want to go like that. So that's I'm going down, up, down, up, down, down, up. So you can see how I'm brushing through the string. Well, so that's. Something's out of tune. Hang on a second. Okay, so you've got that. That's probably the prime directive, is to remember that you want to keep your hand steady in that one position. Sorry, this guitar has been put away for quite a while, and literally seconds before I went live, I broke a string. All right, so back to this. So one of the things you want to do is you want to take your pentatonic patterns and realize that the right hand is going to be doing similar things over a lot of them. So if we go and use groups of 6, see how we're free? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now just keep it there and then start the pattern again on the leading note of the A string. So that would be, and do 2 downstrokes on the A to D string. And now we're ascending, utilizing it. Everybody always talks about descending through 5s, right? That whole, or doing it out of that kind of thing. Perfectly fine way to practice that, but if we want to talk about ascending, let's try starting with a group of 6, and then there you go. Okay, those are groups of 5 again. So that would be down, down, up, up. Sorry. Down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So down, down, up, down, up. And now we're geared up to grab this one. Sometimes I'll do a hammer-on instead of a second upstroke. Like that. That's me hammering on, okay? If I give it full stun, you'll hear it louder. Very helpful, okay? Going all the back and forth is very, very challenging, especially, if we're kind of, using it for brush. Right? I tend to mix it in quite not effortlessly, but consistently. I'll be mixing it in with my alternate picking. Okay. So the sweep occurs after a group of 6. I did do a group of 6. You could start it out down, down, up, down, up. You could start it out down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But I did go, and then I went. So. Sharp flat again. Yeah. So to answer your question, it doesn't always have to be that group of 6 at the beginning. You could just start out with the 2 downstrokes. Down, down, up, down, up. Down, down, up, down, up. Down, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, that's what's happening, I believe. Okay, and so if you want to practice just the one little group, something like that, you could practice that. Right, it's not the It's not the cornerstone of my picking by any stretch, but it's definitely a usable technique. Okay, and it's not only good for like the high gain sound. Okay, but if you're looking at smaller examples of it, right, we could be looking at right, like a little sweep across 3 strings. That kind of sound, right? Pardon me. So those are pull-offs. That's not the directional picking. That's a little rake there. So I'm using some upward stuff. He rarely rotates his hand and sweeps up like that. He's more inclined to stay in the downward position and push through and kind of re-grab. Like the idea of the cascade is that you play like a note too many and then go back and grab some of the last phrase. You see, kind of play into the bar, grab a bunch and pull it back in, and so it keeps kind of rolling over on itself. So kind of like a wave when it starts kind of going into a tube. It gives me that kind of impression. So if you're looking to do it, I suggest you start with just a simple pentatonic pattern like this, and then just stack it up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then push through from the G string to the B string. See how that last stroke is going? That's key to the whole thing, right? That kind of sound. So if you come up, you're definitely getting at some of that, or at least my understanding of it. So one of the other like kind of nuggets that you can practice is this. Yeah. So that's going to be coming B string, up, down, up. So that's alternate picked for 4 notes. Then down, up, down, down. Down, down. All right, and if you don't rotate your hand and you just look for opportunities to grab other notes, that's where you're going to find. Okay, and I'm just determined not to flip my right hand. So if you ask what the single greatest thing to focus on is, don't rotate your hand unless you're looking for upward mini sweeps, all right, which I use all the time, but that's kind of more connected to George Benson's approach, in my opinion, than Joey B and Eric Johnson. Allow me to tune up without all that volume. All right, any other questions, anybody? I'm not the world's greatest EJ guy. There are some cats out there who really own that shit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, alternate picking is just such a painful process. But Joe Bonamassa has pretty impressive picking skills. And as nice a guy as he's been to me face to face when I've met him, which is brief and he would never remember. So I really wish I could talk to him as a friend and tell him, hey, I know you're doing a great job with your career and you're making oodles of money and you're a great standard bearer for blues rock guitar throughout the world, and who am I to give you any advice? But, man, how about you make a record that doesn't sound like that that guy that you work with, that Brian Shirley, I think is his name. I'm not sure what the guy's last name is. It's just like awful. I'm working hard on Birdsong and was wondering if I could help expand in the jam section. Love my detailed dives on the tracks. All right, let's talk about Birdsong, okay? Allow me to get off of the EJ thing. See whether or not the Kemper decides to shit the bed again. All right, I think we can get to good stuff here. Boom, that's not so bad. So if we're looking at Birdsong, we've got that's our jam really. E to D with the E in the bass. So let's create a little world in there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's kind of spacey and vibey enough for me. All right, so how do I approach the jam section? All right, first thing, what are we playing over? We're playing over this kind of E to D thing. What is that? E and D are two major chords, a whole step apart from one another. So that puts us squarely in the key of A, playing out of its fifth mode down to its fourth mode. So any of the A major scale modes are going to sound just fine over that. So let's get, I kind of like that delay that was happening there, but it's a little too washed out. Let's see about turning this one up. That blink. What do we got here? Single delay. Let's change you to a quarter note. There we go. There we go. Alright, that'll do. Alright, so looper back on. Alright, so if we're playing out of A major over top of there. Alright, now granted we can't end on A, C sharp. Alright, those two notes aren't so great. We're better off ending on all those notes from the E triad are in the A major scale. we need to do is figure out how to climb up and down the A major scale, but ending on strong beats on these notes. Or you could think of it like playing E major over top of this E groove, but making sure you always end involving this D note rather than a D sharp note. You don't want to hear. All right, so it's E major with a flat 7, or you can think of playing E mixolydian, which is the 5th mode of A. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Now we can still play any of our major pentatonic flat 3 licks that we've developed over the years. All right, that's a Parker enclosure. And all we're going to do is bring in some flat 7 afterwards. Okay, so that's just kind of riffing out, utilizing some of the techniques I talked about. A big thing happens back here where you can use these, because we're going from E to D, right? So all these notes are really helpful. So you can go right over top of that kind of stuff. So if we're hearing that. That was ascending in thirds, right? That's ba ba da 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 da, right? Ascending in thirds, right? Really using the chromatic space between E and D. Chromatic? I'm not really taking advantage of the D sharp very much, no, but I am taking advantage of that stuff. I'll occasionally use some passing tones here, like that kind of sound, yes, but I tend not to do too much on the D sharp. If I'm here, sure, maybe I'll go like that kind of thing. So that's kind of been a long-standing kind of move, right? When over top of the dominant 7 chord here. All right, so if you want to have those ascending sounds, you can come up through the it was like doubled the speed. I was going right. It turns into a triplet, right? Triplet, instead of 2, 3, 4, triplet. All right, so the way I get some good effects during that is I'm also a big fan of going these kind of basically coming down with bends. Bending up into notes that I know are going to be like have some good sound to them. Passing tones, maybe I'm using